Hello, everybody. Andy Jacob here with the .com Magazine Entrepreneur Spotlight Series. What a great show today. I've been waiting for this show for a number of weeks, a number of months, actually. We've been able to finally book Mr. Mo Hamzian, and Mo is the CEO of VEL. And we're going to be talking about something really dynamic today. It's called Workplace 4.0. And when we think about the changing working world, the changing way in which people are interacting, not only with their fellow employees, their fellow work people, but also their environment, we have Mo on the show today, and their company VEL is changing everything with regard to redesigning workspaces that are really optimized to suit today's digital workforce. I'm so excited to have Mo on the show. I can't wait to get into it. Mo, welcome to the .com Magazine Entrepreneur Spotlight Series today.
Andy, what a pleasure. I feel like a heavyweight boxer coming onto stage. What an MC. Great.
Mo, that's great. It's absolutely fantastic to have you on the show. Of course, when we bring people on the show, as you know from watching the show, we love to start off by pulling the lens back to 30,000 feet. Tell us about VEL, and then we're going to get into it.
You know, our ultimate mission is to become a productivity brand. We want to optimize individual users to achieve their goals. And how we do it, we really want to put a lot of emphasis on delivering precise focus. And how we do that in a microcosm today is delivering pure focus and optimization in space. And our first iteration and our first approach to a product was say, look, sociologically speaking, coffee shops are extremely relevant as a third place, even more relevant now that home is not good enough, or you may not have an office, or in fact, you don't want to have a commute. The library has been extinct for a few decades. As a boy, I used to love being in the library. So we said, what are the best things about Starbucks? What are the best things about WeWork? How can we create a love child out of them? And how can we create a really extreme performance version of a coffee shop? So that's exactly what we did. And the market is absolutely in love with us at the moment.
That's awesome, Mo. I mean, I love the idea of a love child. Let's talk about it a little bit more. You've integrated a couple of great ideas. Let's further investigate what you're doing. Tell us a little bit more. And then we want to talk in very specifics about Workplace 4.0.
Absolutely. So let me talk about it philosophically for a second and bring some analogies to just common kind of language. So we think in the workplace, most people, freelancers, remote workers, career professionals, we believe everyone is trying to run some sort of a race, whether that's a project focus race, you're trying to climb some sort of a ladder, you have a variety of ambitions. And we think most people in the workplace are running that race in flip-flops. we want to put you in the right shoes. And what does that mean? So let me see what, for instance, GoPro's done in the marketplace. Obviously, cameras have been here forever, and they've been developed in evolution of cameras, but they realized very, very quickly that if you want to get on your mountain bike, on your skateboard, on your surfboard, no camera exists for that. And we said something very similar. We said, people in hordes, millions of people go to coffee shops to find focus and concentration. It just doesn't exist. So you have table anxiety, very little reservations, no acoustic value, nil behavioral sciences. There is no, in actual fact, none of it is dependable. So we said, how do we simplify? What frictions do we have to get out the way? How do we delayer this transaction? And what sensation and additives do we have to add to be able to, for you to just travel faster, activate faster? So for instance, we measure pavement to laptop transaction time. And the same way as Amazon says, how many clicks does it get for a user to go to shop, to purchase, to delivery? We do the same thing. We say, if in a normal coffee shop, for instance, it takes you between 5 and 12 minutes to go from pavement to laptop, we want to do that in under a minute. And that's our objective, that within 60 seconds, you're from pavement to a laptop. So we focus on those things, and then we really layer into it. And we've become so product centric on sensors, temperature, acoustics, lighting. What do those things mean? And how can we nudge and usher you to just become much more focal about what you're doing?
Mo, I love it. That's fantastic. Of course, people are loving VEL. People are talking about it. let's talk about the customers, because you have a lot of customers coming in. How are they utilizing really the system, the program, the opportunity, the workspace at VEL to improve their business and their work lives?
Yeah, it's really interesting. We decided to be extremely narrow, extremely precise about what we're doing, and very, very sincere about it. For instance, we're not having at VEL today, there is no drive-through. At VEL today, the food and beverage menu is pretty light. There are lots of things that VEL is not suited for you today. But in terms of an optimized menu, we lean very much heavily into nootropics, adaptogens, creating a menu that actually, in actual fact, helps you, enhances your focus, enriches that experience, as well as the space itself. So we say 3 or 4 times a week, you need that activation in that space. You need that coffee, you need that food and drink. No other place really serves it in that most sincere way. So we said, let's come at it in a way that's really precise for a very strong beachhead, build an evangelist base, and grow quite aggressively from there.
Yeah, that makes all the sense in the world. Now, let's talk about it, because a lot of people are saying to themselves, well, I've been working at home, or now I'm coming out of the darkness into the light. But of course, there are some very important reasons why this workplace 4.0 with VEL is much better than working from home. So let's investigate that a little bit.
My reply would that be, over the last 30 years, we've decided as a consumer base, whether we're buying soap or we're buying workplace or travel, we need flexibility and options. VEL is not trying to disrupt your home. At some point, your home is good enough. But at some point, the monotony of home, the lack of privacy, and, you may have a dog, the doorbell rings, you may have a wife or a kid. And in fact, distractions at home, the fridge is one of the most distracting things at home. It's really nearly impossible. Also, what home doesn't give you, most people have decided, wrongly so, that if you have a table, a chair, some sort of a light, and a $2,000 laptop, you're actually workplace optimized. You're not. Businesses spend millions of dollars in ergonomics, behavioral sciences to create workplaces, but not everyone works at Google. Not everyone works at Microsoft. So therefore, because we don't do that, the average civilian like Mo, and possibly like you, Andy, goes to a coffee shop when home isn't good enough. So we say, at some point, because your home isn't good enough, you go to a coffee shop. Millions of Americans do. And coffee shops they somehow became the de facto prom queen or king of a workplace, but they never wanted that mantle. They never asked for it. They're never geared up for it. So we said, let's build a complementary product to your office, to your home, and that's how we exist. We're disrupting, but we're a complementary product.
Yeah, Mo, that makes all the sense in the world. Of course, I go into coffee shops and I see people working in the coffee shops, and I don't know how they do it. I mean, the desks do not look like they're ready to go. Their laptops are too high or too low, or they're balancing on the edge of a chair. Their feet are up, or they're standing. I mean, it doesn't look like a great environment the way that an existing coffee shop is set up to do work. But with VEL, you've done something different. You put together what I call the perfect workplace environment. So let's talk about that. I think that's the idea, right?
It's exactly right. And because we decided very early on what we're selling in actual fact is experience, we're selling good, optimized, focused work experience in a food and beverage setting in our first iteration. And because of that, we really lean into that focus. And a lot of that is experience. For instance, one of the things we do, one of the ways we layer off friction is to help you get there faster. We've got a robot butler. So you can come into a coffee shop, you can order your drink. If you haven't done it on the app, you can order your drink at the bar and you go and sit down and a robot will deliver it. So coffee shops don't deliver food or beverage to you. You can open up a tab at VEL. Again, at a coffee shop, you can't have a tab. You can't tip at VEL, for instance. So we've actually built a real experience whereby there is a transactional familiarity for you to become and build better habits around it. And the focus is on your individuality, on the way you do work, whether you're doing a Zoom work, meeting work, you're recording a webinar. We've created it. I'm actually at VEL. I'm in a pod. For that pod, I've paid $10 and I have a cup of tea in my hand. And I didn't have to be a CEO of this company. I could have just been an anonymous customer who's reserved this pod with maximum privacy in a coffee shop setting, have a coffee in my hand, and be able to do this interview. There's nowhere else in the world you can do that in a third place setting today. And we wonder why. So we decided to create a product around it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And of course, I sort of call you the king of metrics. You and your team love metrics. And one thing that's super cool is you pay attention to what I call lighting and sound dynamics. I mean, when you're in a workplace, if you have the good lighting and the good sound, it makes for a better work environment. It makes for an easier way to get on your computer or on your digital devices and work. Let's talk about that. I mean, you have these super cool sensors, and I was just fascinated with all that. Let's talk about that a bit.
Yeah, we love that. I particularly love the sensors. Some space can usher you in a certain journey. Airports do that in a very kind of security is top of mind, traffic flow is top of mind. Airports do that very well. You go into a casino, good luck trying to get out. Not only you can't leave because the way it's been designed, so they've already ushered you a certain behavior. They pump oxygen to actually keep you alert and awake. So you can create a definitive customer journey based around that. So one of the things that's really important in creativity or analytics, temperature is important. If the temperature is cold, you're activating an analytical, methodical part of your brain. If it's warm, it's much more about creativity. Lighting can create psychological comfort. If you go to MRI rooms, they have very, very clever lighting to reduce cortisol and actually make you feel safer. For you to actually perform, there is Maslow's always said it, there is a hierarchical need for you to feel safe, for you to be able to perform. So we've thought about behavioral sciences of scent, lighting, air quality, air density, pathogens in the air, and how can we produce that in a coffee shop setting at mass where the check value, it's still $7 to $14 and everyone can get access to it. And I love products. I love products like the iPhone or an Apple Watch or lots of other electronic products out there, because whether you are a student or a billionaire, you're still transacting with that product in the same emotional way. And there are few products like that. And we really wanted to create an environment whereby it's affordable, it's transactional, but it's really, really focused around you.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Using technology to improve the workforce, of course, and the workplace. Let's talk about co-working. Back in the days, maybe a couple months ago, people said co-working was about how they interact with other people. But I'm kind of thinking right now that you're changing that conversation, because co-working really means how you interact and engage with your environment as well. Is that one of the things that you're thinking about as you build VEL out?
Yeah, it's absolutely true. I mean, we're in Workplace 4.0. If Industrial Revolution was Workplace 1.0, I would say co-working is probably Workplace 3.0. And what we work in Industrious and other co-working environments, including Reaches, have done, it's revolutionary. I'm a huge fan of co-working. I think it's still relevant, although the market is oversubscribed. But co-working as a space, I'll come to your question in a minute, but co-working as a sector, sociologically speaking, is the second place. It's the replacement of the office. It is not the third place. So it's not transactional, it's membership based, and it's almost for a different customer segment. And co-working and sharing of space, in actual fact, has shown open plan environments are degenerative. You would think if you remove barriers, collaboration would foster, but in fact, it's counterintuitive. If you open up space, people get distracted and productivity drops, because ultimately we need a certain amount of zonal privacy to be able to optimize. So people do need to congregate and they can come together. So because of that, we've created 3 tiers of seating at VEL. We do have that co-working, open environment, typical coffee shop, but then we have zonal, individual and group settings whereby you can go, still feel you're part of the atmosphere. You're not cordoned off, but you do have that zonal privacy. So, and given that the workplace has changed so much, I mean, we've raised lots of money in the last 2 years, and we've raised all that money over Zoom in a digital setting. we were born remote. The company is remote, which is interesting because obviously our shops are physical and brick and mortar. So because the infrastructure has changed so much, one of the things that was really important for us from a operational and venture capital and growth point of view and product point of view was not to make TV for radio. We really know that the game has changed, and we want to look forward and see how we can change with it.
I love it. I love it. Of course, you and your team, you are really experts in igniting productivity. You have some very big plans for VEL. We've been told about them. We're very excited to disclose them and share them on the show today. So what's the future of VEL?
It's interesting. As a second iteration of VEL, we've produced a fast go-to-market, produced at factory, modular version of VEL. We call it VEL Go. And this thing can come rapid to market in 60 days. And it can go in transport hubs, airport, train stations, hotels, malls. And that is what is giving us a major fuel to growth. And every category, God rest his soul, John Candy and Steve Martin, they played that movie, Planes, Planes and Automobiles. And every single vertical, heavyweight landlords are looking for this product that we're delivering to market. So the next version of VEL is to hit transport environments, fast-moving, dense environments, whereby workplace is relevant in a short dwell time, not 3-hour dwell time, maybe a 30 to 50-minute dwell time. And people need that micro environment, micro sanctuary of productivity at a train station, at an airport, while they're going at speed. So that's the next step for us. And we're super excited about that.
I love it. I love it. I mean, obviously a leading expert in igniting productivity. VEL Go sounds amazing. Let's talk about it because, we have some entrepreneurs watching the show. They're hearing what you're saying. Maybe they're saying to themselves, wow, that's a fascinating journey, a great story, a great company. The future looks bright, but here I am as an entrepreneur. I'm having a tough time today. So maybe you can share some insight to the younger entrepreneurs or the entrepreneurs having a tough time about what it takes to get through those tough times and come out the other side feeling like, hey, I'm really happy I just got through that tough time. I'm more stronger for the effort, and now I'm ready to go.
Well, actually, it's really optimistic. In fact, we are in one of the best, if you live in the States, best country ever to become an entrepreneur. Very, very few layers, centralized marketplace, huge liquidity, large population. So it's a very good country to become an entrepreneur in. It's one of the reasons I moved here 5 years ago. Number two, we live in a very transparent environment. We've had entrepreneurship is a real category now. It's been for about 20, 25 years, real category. There are lots of data out there, whether it's business schools, case studies, podcasts, whatever your choice of medium is, to show you the mechanics and frameworks of stress testing, bringing to market, route to market, growth strategies, piloting, building customer, acquiring customer. So I would say, really, you're in good shape. I am one of those entrepreneurs that believes in focus. I believe in beachhead. I believe in specificity and testing, raising, growing, building, fixing, testing, building, growing. So I would say, really go narrow, be specific, and test hard, and find your niche.
Yeah, that's awesome. For the people watching the show, you just got what I'm going to call a Harvard MBA in the last few minutes. So rewind what he just said. I mean, it's super interesting. Of course, Mo has a lot of background, a lot of experience, definitely someone to listen to. I mean, that was great advice. Now, we're going to bring you back from a VEL Go. I can't wait to have you back on the show. We'll interact when you're in one of the VEL Go's. I don't know if it'll be at the London airport or, at a train station in Europe or in South America, Latin America, maybe in Asia. Wherever you're going to put these VEL Go's, we're going to interact with you out of a VEL Go for our next interview. And I want to thank you so much for cutting out some time today for coming on the .com Magazine Entrepreneur Spotlight Series.
Thanks for having me, Andy. I had fun.